The views and content expressed on the following program are provided solely for informational and entertainment purposes. They do not constitute legal advice. A podcast is not a substitute for retaining a competent, licensed attorney to advise you on your specific legal situation.
Break the business, play is work and work is play. Power into creators, have fun along the way. Break the business, doing what it takes. Celebrate success and learn from the mistakes.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is time for Break the Business, where we empower indie creators and have some fun along the way. I'm Ryan Kairalla, and it is a pleasure to have you here this week. I am excited to do this show, but you should also know, health-wise, you boys fighting through it right now. I got a touch of the flu as we do this show, and every doctor will tell you when you have the flu, two things you should definitely do are talk loudly into a microphone and stare at very bright lights directly into your eyes for a 1-hour podcast. So I feel like I'm doing everything possible to just make this flu go away as fast as possible. But I make these sacrifices for all of you because we have ourselves a fantastic program this evening, and I'm excited to share it with you. We're going to be joined in the second segment by our guest this week, Ralph Tastian. He is the founder of Intercept Music, a really interesting, really terrific artist development platform, distribution, marketing. It does it all. We're going to be talking to him. In addition to getting him to talk about his platform, I'm just interested in talking to him about his story. This is a long-time music executive. The man has seen it all, and he has done it all, and he's going to have some great advice for you. So don't go anywhere for that. That's going to be a heck of a conversation. And speaking of people that we have heck of good conversations with, let's bring in our co-host, Elisa Rockdock is here. Hi, Elisa.
And with the first pick in the Break the Business draft, we select Ryan Kairalla to have a flu game, apparently.
Yep.
What's up?
With my first pick, I drafted the influenza virus. Immediately has been a problem for the locker room since we drafted him, but hopefully it'll work out for us in the long term. It is so nice to see you. I am excited to have you joining us. Always love it when you stop by. And whenever we do have you on, Elisa, I really want to do my darndest to bring you a show that is worthy of you and that I know will make you smile, that'll make you have a good time. I feel like we took care of you this week. I feel like we brought it this week. We have a lot of fantastic stuff to talk about. I'm excited to get right into it with you. The first thing I want to talk to you about, Rock Doc, going a little bit off the board here, considering the overall genre of our show, but I'd like to talk to you about real estate.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, that thing. So I would like you to know, Elisa, and I'm sure you might feel the same way on this, I have a new favorite realtor. And you need to know that when I say that, that's a pretty heavy thing for me to say, because about half of my family among my aunts and uncles are realtors, and my wife is a licensed realtor.
Oh.
So when I say I have a favorite realtor like that, I'm going to get some enemies very close to me by saying that. But I stand by what I'm saying here. No takesies, backsies, because this particular realtor that I'm going to tell you about is fantastic. I think I sent you some videos about her. Are you down now with Tampa-based realtor Brianna Banasiski, Tampa Bree?
Absolutely. I did. It's funny because being based in Florida and well, I'm currently now based out of Dallas. I would call myself a Miami expat. A lot of nostalgia, kind of creeping into these videos, in these sort of kind of mid to South Florida housing market. Especially shout outs to Publix in her own work. I gotta say, I watch a lot of realtors on YouTube. None with this particular flavor.
I think that's a good way of putting it, right? She brings a flavor to her realtor videos that other realtors don't. These are really funny videos. I've enjoyed listening to them. And I think And for a podcast that celebrates creators, we should celebrate creators regardless of the industry they're in.
Yeah.
And so I would love to show the viewers and listeners a little bit about the funny videos that Brianna's doing. Producer Lauren, do you have one of her videos for us?
Suspense.
Any minute now.
It's an escrow. I don't know what that means. Trying to make a
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I'm a renter.
You hear that? That's the noise of a hard man at work. A hard man. This house is on 1 acre of land. You'll be so far away from your neighbors that you won't even hear your wife cheat on you anymore. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,300 square feet, $425,000. You could stock this fridge with a bunch of food you overpaid for at Publix. At least their slogan, where shopping is a pleasure, is accurate, because every time I go in there, I feel like I'm getting f***ed. Maybe you'd have more money for a down payment if you stopped shopping at Publix. Or maybe you'd have more money for a down payment if wages increased with inflation, interest rates dropped, the government invested in affordable housing. I don't know, crazy. Realtors on social media just want to show you $1 million houses that the average American cannot afford. And from one very average American to the other, that shit. This is what a regular bathroom looks like. Stop looking at Pinterest. Everything on the internet is a lie.
So refreshing.
It is, right? Because, I mean, she's so right about that. Because like the realtors, they're all over TikTok now. They're all over Instagram, and it's always the same video, right? It's got like the campy Muzak style, almost like porn sounding music in the background. Yeah. And then they're just like, look at this lovely backsplash. And it's not funny. It's not engaging. It's not imaginative. And then you have somebody like Brianna, who goes on Instagram as at Tampa_BRE. And her videos are exceptional. They made me want to watch everything that she does. I would imagine if I were in the market for real estate, like I would find her videos engaging and want to work with her. And it kind of makes me wish that more realtors did things this way. Like were a little more funny, like maybe didn't take the profession so seriously.
Yeah. It's interesting because I'm a renter. But I do see this sort of like meta across YouTube, Instagram of these, it's like super serious, aspirational.
Yeah.
But in a like, we're gonna kind of dangle the keys to this. What's going to turn out to be an Airbnb. Nobody's actually going to live in this house. This is going to be some corporate owned Airbnb that's only going to get rented out for Coachella or something. Instead, let me look at a house that, I mean, I'm a millennial. I have no shot of actually buying anything, but like, show me a realistic 3-2 with, I don't even need a breakfast nook. I'm good without a breakfast nook. If is there an island? Doesn't have to be an island. Give me a good galley kitchen. I don't need a farmhouse sink. Give me one of those stainless steel two bangers. Just give me like the real house, and also a tongue-in-cheek way of presenting it, because I haven't been through the experience of buying a house. I know you have a couple of times. I gotta imagine it's a nightmare enough without having to do this weird fisheye lens, like MTV Cribs song and dance thing.
The dreaded fisheye lens, which needs to be banned from all things real estate, because it'll make like something that's 400 square feet look like it's 5,400 square feet, and like just it's flagrant false advertising. Producer Lauren, do we have another one of Brianna's videos? I love these. I'm obsessed.
This carport is tall enough to fit your jacked up F-150, but not tall enough to fill the void of when your father left. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, $660,000. Shut the up. What do you want me to do? It's 2 minutes from Bayshore Boulevard. You're the one who overextended yourself on an F-150 payment. $950 a month? Imagine coming home to this after a long day of overcompensating. This is the perfect spot for your I don't haul anything, but I could apron. Does it get exhausting taking up 2 parking spots everywhere you go? This shower's big enough for you to cry in once you realize all your friends keep you around just in case they need to move. Oh, this would be a great spot for your cuck chair. Hey, did your truck come with a Gatorade bottle full of tobacco spit, or did you have to buy that separately? This house is only 3 minutes away from a mechanic. And the signal's great here. I already got you 3 new matches on Grindr.
So good.
I mean, Look, I'm not going to say it's the first realtor video that I've seen on social media that's, used the phrase cuck chair, but it's definitely the best.
My algorithm. Whew, if I had a nickel.
I love her approach to this. I think, and when you look at the comments on these videos, people are responding to this. Like, I wish people, I wish my realtor talked like this. I wish that I could see more videos like this. I wish that somebody actually was realistic about what it's like out there. That is the dumpster of the Florida the dumpster fire that is the Florida real estate market. I just think this is awesome. And I think there's so many ways she could take this, right? If she wants to stay in real estate, that's great. But I think like she could do other media stuff with this. And I'd love to talk to her about that. We actually have Brianna here joining us now on Break the Business. Brianna Banasiski, how are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
So amazing. I've just become obsessed with your videos over the past week. I have not stopped laughing. I've shared them to all of my friends here in Florida. And, we're all with you on just like how, horrific the market is right now. And I love that there's a realtor out there that's just honest and, doesn't take what they do too seriously and is just having a good time. What inspired you to start making these kind of videos?
I guess it was kind of a mix of things. I've always made videos in different jobs that I've had. So I've done sales for the last 10 years and I used to sell cars and I would make funny videos doing that. None of them ever took off like these did, but I kind of have always done it. So when I first started making the realtor videos, I was trying out different styles and I didn't know what I would like. And I realized that just me making jokes in one, I got quite a bit of views on it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing that. If that worked, I'm just going to make a bunch of videos of me doing that. And it just seemed to work.
Now, I see in a lot of your videos when you do these houses, you have a disclaimer up top that says, just to be clear, I'm not the listing agent for this particular house. I'm wondering, have you had a client who has had the courage to let you do one of these kind of videos for their house? Because I feel like it would help the house sell.
I have one in the works right now, but it's not out yet.
Oh,
yeah.
Because I mean, it takes a special kind of client, right? Like some clients are a little too stuffy for that, but I feel like they need to see the potential. This would help sell a house.
Yes, there are some people who don't like the style and they don't think it's professional, but I'm like, I am not a professional. If you thought I was a professional when you hired me, you were wrong.
Oh my gosh. And what do your colleagues in the industry think of these? Like, are they with you on it, or are you getting kind of shunned because you're not doing like the same kind of boring videos that everybody else does?
No, I think they're all really happy. Like, especially at my brokerage, they're like, "That's amazing. It was so funny. I'm so happy for you." I haven't had anybody say anything negative about it yet, other than some random people in the comments that, I don't know, but whatever. But no, everybody's really happy and everyone thinks they're funny. And I have a lot of my coworkers now just want me to go film at their listings. They're sending their sellers my videos and the sellers are like, yeah, have her come here and film. So it's like working out for me that way. So they all want me to film their videos.
So listing agents are reaching out to you, wanting you to like come to their house and say, this is the spot where your cuck chair could be.
Yeah, exactly. It's very weird.
What a delightfully strange real estate market we have in Florida right now.
It's fun that I created this. I created a lead generator essentially doing this. Like I found different avenues than just selling and buying real estate or helping people sell and buy real estate.
So I don't want to monopolize Brianna here. Do you have questions for her, Elisa?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, asking for a friend based out of Dallas, Fort Worth. I don't know if it works the same way as law. Could you be accredited in Texas also?
I know. I have so many comments that say that. People are like, can you come to Washington? Can you come to New York? And I'm like, maybe. I wish. I mean, maybe one day, but I love Florida. I don't see myself ever leaving.
So commenter writes in, we need more fun professionals like her. We do. And that's not just in real estate, by the way. My profession suffers from this as well. There is a lot of really bad lawyer TikToks out there and really bad Instagram because my profession is a very stuffy one. They don't want to be looked down upon, like, oh, we're lawyers, we have to be all important and we're professionals and everything. And so many of them are not willing to kind of get into the mud and not take themselves so seriously. And so the result of that is you have to watch a bunch of really boring videos that they make, and they wonder why they get like 5 views.
Mhm.
And, but you got something that's working here. And, I'm wondering, and I know it's sort of early because you just started making these videos, but what are some of the next steps that you're considering here? Like, I could imagine like a reality show where you kind of like Selling Sunset, but like more, 6-figure homes, and like you're, making jokes as opposed to like treating everything like it's a holy chapel or something like that. I mean, there's so many ways you could take this. Like, the opportunities are going to be there.
Yeah, there are so many right now, and it's so early on that it's hard for me. It's exciting, and I'm like entertaining all of them. Like, I could use this as a lead generator. I could go into marketing. I could, like, there's different opportunities opening up for me, and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know. So for right now, I'm like, I'm just going to keep making these jokes, keep making these videos.
Please
Yeah.
do.
So I'm excited because, yeah, there are a lot of different avenues, and I'm just weighing my options now.
And I mean, look, I'm excited to see where this goes. Please don't be a stranger, right? Like, when you make new videos, let us know about them. Like, we want to, like, I know a star when I see one. This is this is going places. I'm excited for this. And the lesson that I want to impart to all people, because I imagine there's viewers and listeners listening to this who are saying, why are you talking to a realtor right now? This is not a realtor podcast. And the lesson to be learned from this is that we can all be creators. Creators are everywhere. It's not just the people who do it full-time professionally. Whatever industry you're in, whatever field of endeavor you do, there is an opportunity for you to be a creator while you're doing it, and to make engaging, funny, interesting content that doesn't take your field too seriously, that can make you more endearing to your potential customers and create opportunities for you that wouldn't otherwise be there. And Brianna is a fantastic example of this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I agree. I feel like we need to stop taking ourselves so seriously.
That's my only wish. All right. Brianna, congratulations on these videos. We enjoy them immensely, and best of luck out there, because the Florida real estate market's a mess.
Thank you for having me. Maybe one day, probably not.
Oh, gosh, she's a delight. That makes me very, very happy. Cool. Wanted to talk to you next, Elisa, about a topic that we were talking about last week with Gideon King, that even as I was talking about it with Gideon King last week, I was like, we got to talk to Elisa about this, because this is really in her field, about the new rider that was put out by the Creators Guild of America. The Creators Guild of America put out like this new template contract that they would give out to all of their members that would have a bunch of legal protections for creators who would do brand deals. Right? Because when creators do brand deals, there's always the potential for abuse and for creators to get exploited. And so the CGA created this rider and got a bunch of companies to agree to use it. And this rider has a bunch of protections for creators in there, including giving creators full rights to the work that they create for the brand, limits on the number of revisions, a 90-day payment window, creator access to analytics, and a prohibition on using content for AI training without the creator's explicit permission. What I liked about the rider, among other things, is I was looking at that list. I was like, yep, those are all things that I usually try to negotiate when I do brand deals for clients. They did a really nice job. They covered all their bases. And I would imagine somebody in your field who is used to probably waiting for a net 90 payment to come in. This has got to be music to your ears.
Woo! As soon as I saw that it was net 90 max, I was like, oh, be still my heart. I've had a net 6 months.
That's a big net.
Net 8. It's been rough out there. And also, hey, as a voice actor, as an on-camera actor, I think more and more it is very, very important for creators to take charge and make sure that there are AI protections in whatever you do. It doesn't even have to be necessarily acting related, but it is so easy for folks to create deep fakes of your content, use your AI to train voice models. I mean, I'm paranoid enough to not even like order at a drive-through, because some of those are like, would you like to opt in to like our AI system? And I'm like, nah, not the moneymaker. No. it's I mean, and also as somebody who, I haven't necessarily had to deal with this directly, but as somebody who has worked with influencers in a previous gig, I can understand the just that bullet point, a limit on the number of revisions.
Oh, yeah.
It
That's
is said
nice.
that regulations are often written in blood. And and this number of revisions clause is basically sending me deep into a room full of suits that is going to nitpick every single bit of thing that you do for their content. It has to go through legal, it has to go through marketing, it has to go through brand, whatever you do for a brand in terms of a video. And there are so many cooks in that kitchen, you are likely to get revised into a shell of your former self if you let these brands kind of keep taking advantage of you and creating so many revisions and so much back and forth that your payment actually ends up not being that much in the grand scheme of things when you kind of
Right.
break it down per hour.
Yeah.
And you can end up being more exploited than you originally thought you were going to be. So I think in terms of these bullet points, I'm a huge fan. It will be interesting to see how brands decide to adopt or push back or try to massage certain things in order to still come out ahead. But at the very least, it's nice that there is something that a creator can use to help navigate this landscape, because it is so easy for people to get taken advantage of when they see dollar signs and huge brand names.
See, and the nice thing about the CGA putting their stamp on this is a few things that are nice. One thing that's nice about this is that they have the pull to go ahead and start reaching out to brands and getting them to adopt this, getting them to say, we promise to use this writer when we do our brand deal. So that's nice. The other thing that's nice about it is that the CGA has a ton of members, so they can get this out to their members and have it start doing a lot of good right away. And so, those are welcome developments. The other thing that's nice about it, and it is, this is where it does good for people like me who represent clients, some of whom might not even be in the CGA when they do these deals, is now because the CGA has put their name behind these deal points, I don't have to listen to a brand tell me ever again, well, that's just not standard. We don't do it that way. Nobody does it that way. What? A max 2 revisions? Nobody does it that way. Net 90? Nobody does it that way. And what I've always had to say in response is, yes, they do it that way. There's plenty of, and then they go, well, your word against mine. And now I can like hold up the CGA writer and be like, look, there's a really important industry organization that says that this is the way we should be treating creators. And this is standard in their writers. So don't tell me that like, I'm just making up this term for the first time.
There you go. It's nice to be able to have receipts. And also, as always, we have capable folks over here like Ryan, and they're like that may or may not be licensed in your particular neck of the woods that can help you navigate these things too, and to make sure that even if it's not this exact boilerplate, make sure that you are taken care of. This is a really good start.
It's nice to see this kind of stuff. This is a welcome development, and kudos to the CGA for putting this out there, and hopefully it'll do some good. Speaking of things that are doing good out there, whenever we have you on, Elisa, we always relish the opportunity to just drop in on you, see how things are going, because you are doing a lot of cool things as a creator, voice acting, regular acting, you're writing, you're blogging, you're doing commercials, you're out there doing stuff. And we love just kind of just keeping tabs on you, seeing what's going on with your career, and maybe drawing some lessons along the way as we do. So can you give us a little career update?
Sure. So, fun fact, I am currently experiencing gastrointestinal distress that I haven't experienced since grad school, Why? Because next week, our acting class is going to start our showcases in front of actual casting directors. And so basically, all of the scenes that we've been preparing for the last couple of months, scenes, monologues. I'm doing a scene from the show Elsbeth. I'm doing a scene from The White Lotus. I'm doing I'm doing a monologue from Gypsy. I'm doing a monologue from Barry. I've prepared all of these things, and I'm in other people's scenes as well. So I have like 5 scenes to memorize, along with 2 monologues. And then we're going to be put on a Zoom with real life casting directors that are currently casting and that I have auditioned for already, to show them what we got. And hopefully this could end up, at the very least, if not a booking, the next time that we audition for these folk, they'll hopefully remember us, and hopefully in a good way. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the next 4 weeks.
Oh my gosh, that's really exciting. So, I mean, I don't know if you've done one of these before yet, but what's the environment like? Is it just sort of all of them in a small room? Is it like a big room? Is it you and all the other actors there? Are you going in one at a time, like American Idol style?
It's all over Zoom. We're
Zoom, okay. Oh wow.
we are all in a Zoom, and then they spotlight the 2 of us, and we act via webcam
What?
with each other.
You have to like do a scene with somebody over Zoom boxes,
over
like the
Zoom.
way we're talking now?
Yep.
Boy,
Yep.
that's a challenge. Like, I mean, because so much of acting is pacing, is picking up off of the line of the other actor. Kind of hard to do that over Zoom with lag.
Definitely. So it does get a little talky overy if we get into sort of like Aaron Sorkin territory. Then that's where you kind of risk some overlap. But the cool thing is that we've been acting over Zoom for the last 2 years on this class. So we're kind of used to kind of giving each other an extra beat. And for the most part, nerves, whether it's, for me at least, whether it's playing music or acting, nerves tend to make me talk faster. So the Zoom almost gives me a reason to like add an extra beat before coming in. And it's sort of, we're letting the acting breathe. You know, it's not about lag, it's about letting the acting breathe. So doing that, it's like class is winding down. And so I'm obviously doing that thing where, oh no, class is almost over. I'm going to sign up for another class. So this Saturday, I'm going into a commercial workshop for commercial acting to see if I can get better at that. So always be improving. It's never too late, but don't wait to start. Take some classes.
That's awesome. I want to go back to you about what you were saying about Zoom auditions, right? Because that is the way. I've at least gotten this vibe from doing these career updates with you when you've come on the show. The audition world has become way more video conferencey than it ever was. Like it's not in person as much as it used to be. And so I imagine it takes a different skill set to audition over Zoom than it would be when you're auditioning in person. For the aspiring actors out there who are going to be doing more of these Zoom auditions, do you have any advice for them how they might change their approach?
Gosh. So be patient. Make sure that your tech just at a bare minimum, make sure you're lit, your tech is set up. I don't have a backdrop because I like the cinema verite approach to break the business, but usually I have a backdrop behind me with no visuals of the world behind me. Casting directors and clients, they have imagination, but to a point. They do like to see things presented in front of them. So giving them as clean a frame as possible so that they're not distracted by anything is key. Good internet connection, good camera, and don't be afraid to get silly. A lot of times, especially for commercial auditions, you still have to have your improv wits about you. But it's tough out there because the callback stage is usually a live Zoom nowadays, and that gets tough. But a lot of it is just self-tape, and you record yourself and you send it into the ether, and hope that you get any response, anything at all. You have to be your own editor, videographer, cinematographer, lighting person. Sometimes you have to be your own reader. If you can't get one, you do a voice recording and you just leave gaps. Find a reader. That is usually preferred. But I guess my only advice is, if you think it's tough, it is. It sucks for everybody, and it sucks for the casting directors a little bit too, because nothing beats an in-person audition and having that little bit of extra couple of minutes on the front end or the back end to kind of charm them.
Yeah.
You don't really get that on a Zoom. It is cattle call central. You're in and you're out, and that's it. So be prepared with your like little something interesting about yourself that isn't about acting. And you have to maybe be a little bit more prepared because you have a little bit less time over Zoom to charm folk than you usually do. So get your sparkle pants on and buckle up, because it is a lot cheaper to do this than hire a studio for in person. So we're going to be here for a while.
Yeah. I know you talked about lighting is important for these Zoom auditions and, good backdrop. I assume like having a microphone like yours is better than just relying on, your laptop's built-in mic.
Absolutely. If you can get any kind of external audio amplification going, whether it's, I just got a Shure SM58, kicking it old school, like I'm back in the club, but also, work off of my Shure SM7B. But honestly, some of the callbacks I've had have just been iPhone on a mic stand.
Wow.
And hoping for the best. So sometimes you got what you've got, but know what you have and don't wait until the day of the callback to figure out any of your tech. Always do a dry run of everything, and something's going to go wrong anyway. And so it's always best to have your sea legs about you. This is a ridiculous thing when you have to audition and do improv over Zoom and like pretend that you're singing into a pineapple can of brand redacted. Like, zoom out for like a second and realize that this is ridiculous, the stuff that they're asking us to do in order to work. So have a laugh.
Thank you for your perspective of this brave new world that we're in. This is looking forward to having you on subsequent episodes, seeing how and to what extent these auditions bear fruit. I like the idea of you auditioning with a piece from Elsbeth. I feel like you give off some Elsbeth vibes. I feel like if they want to do a similar kind of show like that, that would work for you. You could do some things with that.
Absolutely. I saw her and I loved her and I knew her deep down. That was my girl. Yeah, I'm super excited. I hope it all works well. I auditioned for everything from arcades to potential prestige television shows, to radio ads for lotteries in regions that I will never hear. It is the best job in the world. It is the weirdest job in the world. And I can't wait to see what fresh hell I have to tell you next month, because it's always an adventure.
Very excited for it. We're wishing you the best, Rock Doc. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes with our guest, Ralph Tashjian, here on Break the Business. Don't go anywhere.
Break the Business is presented in cooperation with Ryan A. Kairalla, PA. Ryan A. Kairalla, PA is a law firm providing transactional entertainment legal services, including contracts, business formation, commercial law, copyright, trademark, and more. Ryan A. Kairalla, PA, Miami, Florida. rkpalaw.com.
Streaming services for Break the Business provided by LEK Entertainment. LEK Entertainment is a full-service entertainment company offering everything from consultations to full-scale events and productions, including audio and video productions, voiceovers, staged theatrical productions, script and music development, and streaming services. For more information, visit lekentertainment.com. LEK Entertainment wants to help you bring your story to life.
thanks for supporting Break the Business. If you have a question or topic that you want us to discuss, email us at breakthebusiness@gmail.com. You can follow the host, that's me, on Twitter at Ryan Kair, and you can follow the show at the BTB Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and on all major podcast platforms. And now, let's get back to the show. Welcome back to Break the Business, everybody. Ryan Kairalla here with Elisa Rock Doc. Just having a grand old time. A listener or viewer writes in, Bree was fantastic. Yes, she was.
Yes.
And I don't know if we mentioned this in the first segment, but if you want to check out more of her videos, you can follow her on TikTok and Instagram at Tampa_Bree. I want to make sure we show some love to Brianna in the first segment. She was phenomenal. Let's go ahead and bring out our guest this week.
He's been on the ride, seen highs and lows. Knows every turn where the wild wind blows. Built a legacy that's raw and true. Ralph Tashkin's here, got stories for you. Break the norm, break the scene. He's the king in the music dream. With wisdom sharp and vision keen. Here comes Ralph Tashkin.
Our guest this week is a music entrepreneur and the founder and chairman of Intercept Music, an entertainment technology platform that provides artists with tools for distribution, social media, marketing, merchandising, and promotional services. You can find out more about our guest's work by visiting interceptmusic.com. We are happy to welcome Ralph Tashkin on to Break the Business. Hi, Ralph.
Hi, Ryan. That the song introduction, that was it. I think we're done after that. I'm done.
I was headbanging a little bit over here. That was a fun
Yeah.
one.
I can't. That was a first. I loved it. That
We
was a
aim
little.
to please, sir.
was a
But
little
we
bit
wanted
of
to
a-
make sure that you got a welcome befitting your status as a music industry legend, all the things that you've accomplished. We want to make you feel happy to be here.
I'm very warm and fuzzy right now.
That's
And
the goal, man.
Be next to the Doc Rock. Come on. That's what it's all
Absolutely.
about.
It's what we love.
But before we get started, I also spend time and live in San Francisco, and San Francisco real estate market needs Brianna because that's the most uptight place you ever want to go in your life. So we need to send her to San Francisco.
She might actually remember she was talking about how listing agents were hiring her to
Yeah.
come to their houses and make these videos. That might wind up just being her career, is just being like this mercenary who goes to other people's listings and does these funny videos for
brilliant.
them.
It's
'Cause-
brilliant. It's
Yeah.
brilliant.
God, they're so, I encourage you, go check out more of her videos. Every one of them is really, really fantastic. But back to you, sir. I want to begin at the beginning with you because I thought this was interesting that you got your start in business, but not in music. Your first real business role was selling flowers in your family's flower business. And I'm just curious, were there any lessons that you learned from the flower business that are applicable to the music industry?
You know what? Yes. And when you come from a family business and an ethnic family business, right? We're Armenians and, kind of a tribe, and, we have a work ethic, and that was taught to me at a very, very young age. I had resentments about it for a lot of my life, but I've since let those go because it's defined who I am today. And, I don't know if I could have, held on in a very difficult industry, as we all know, the entertainment industry is, as long as
I thought you were talking about the flower business.
yeah, without that drive inside and that tenacity, it's, so I learned it at a very young age.
Well, and I love all of the stories that I hear about you that sort of demonstrate your tenacity, because I can pick any number of Ralph Tashkin stories that are just like, man, that shows how tenacious he is. And I got one here from your work in radio promotion. And I need you to tell me if this is a true story because I read it. Is it true that you once got a radio station to play a Marvin Hamlish song by dumping hundreds of copies of the record on the floor of the radio station.
It was KFRC in San Francisco. And I was a local promotion guy, right? And they wouldn't play the record. The record was top 10 around the country, and they just wouldn't play it. I went into the radio station with a wheelbarrow full of singles and just dumped them on the floor in the reception area and walked out. The record went on the next day.
I'm not sure what's funnier about that story. The fact that you did that, or that it was Marvin Hamlish. I'm trying to think of like what would be a funnier name for like somebody to dump out a wheelbarrow full of records. Cause like, you know, the poor receptionist being like, who dumped all of these Marvin Hamlish records here? That's pretty funny. Like, who would have been funnier, Rock Dog? Like Right Said Fred? Like if there were just a pile of I'm Too Sexies on the floor there. That's a good one. Who dumped all these Crash Test Dummies records on the floor?
Ryan, that was the promotion business back in the day.
Yeah.
And we were characters. You know, you really went on your personality. You know, you had to win people over, and there were characters. It reminds me, and this guy told me this story a long time ago. It was kind of wild. There's this old movie with Danny DeVito in it and Richard Dreyfuss called Tin Men, and these guys were selling siding that went on houses, right? You know, tin siding on houses, and they would all sit there in a coffee shop and get together and commiserate about what they did and how they conned this person into getting this done. And that was like a bunch of radio promotion guys at that time. We'd sit around and go, well, what did you do? Well, you know what? I went and dumped these things. I had another one where I broke the Kung Fu fighting record, and I went on the road with a karate guy breaking coffee tables in radio stations. And then
wait.
God, wait.
Hey, okay. Then, we're gonna put a pin in that.
As I did that, I wound up in Miami, and you guys are in Miami. And there was a guy named Dutch Holland, Gary Schaefer, who ran the distributor down there back in the day. TK, which was, I can't remember his name, but Gwen McCrae, all of these hits, Casey and the Sunshine Band, were all coming out of this distributor. And the big radio station in Miami was Y100.
Oh, now you're speaking our language, Ralph.
I'm dating myself, right? So the guy, the program director, said to me at the time, he goes, "Listen, I just love this record, Kung Fu Fighting. I love it. Let's do a skit." And I go, "Okay, what do you want to do?" And he goes, "Well, I'm going to play the record back to back, afternoon drive between 5 and 6 in the afternoon, back to back. And you're going to knock on the door and make like you're my boss and the police and say, 'Let me in, stop playing that record.'" And the phones literally blew up in the radio station. He played it for 1 hour straight, and the rest was history on that single.
Amazing.
I mean,
this is what social media took from us. We could be having wheelbarrows.
Wheelbarrows and coffee tables. I mean, you know, but you did. That's what you had, you know, and that's that was the business. And I was, you know what? I've been doing this a long time, and maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe we won't. But you know, I feel very fortunate to have been in this business at that time. And you know, then, you know, it wasn't because of the internet. There was analytics started taking over everything, whether it was, you know, point of purchase, sound scan, or whether it was how radio stations were being monitored around the country. And then it just, you know, it went from that showman to, you know, real business. So I guess it's ultimately a good thing.
This is what the modern music business took from us. This is, I mean, so staying with that though, in all seriousness, you know, thinking back to the old days where you were, you know, karate chopping radio station tables to promote a Carl Douglas song, or dumping Marvin Hamlish records on the floor of radio stations. Talk to me a little bit about, say, the biggest changes between the music industry from when you started to what it's like today.
You know, that's really a great question. And there's pros and cons with both, believe it or not. You know, today, I believe that there's a lot more opportunities than there's ever been before. 49% of the music business today is independents. You know, independents back in the day could not get arrested because they didn't have the money to compete with the major record companies. They basically squeezed everybody out. And if you started to bubble under, they just bought you. They made you an offer you couldn't refuse. You know, but and back in the day, you were programmed to. And so your limit for what you were going to hear or what you were going to get exposed to or what you were going to discover was really based on a radio station. What wound up happening with that is, I think it was in the 80s, I think it was the Clinton administration, they deregulated everything.
Yeah.
So they allowed these conglomerates, I mean, just to go and buy every radio station. So you didn't have competitive situations in markets anymore. You used to have 3 rock stations, and the rock stations, if they were clever, they would try to find records that would get a reaction from the audience that their competitors didn't have. And so there was this, but now then it changed when they were all owned by the same person or the same company, and they had one guy programming multiple markets around the country and one music director picking music for multiple markets around the country. They've kind of created where they are today. Now, fast forward, young people today find and discover music everywhere, and they discover it on YouTube. They discover it on Spotify. I have a story I love telling about how music has changed and how we discover music. I was with my granddaughter, and we were in the car. We were in Boise going to see her sister, and she was about 15. And she said, can I put on my music, plug the thing in? And I went, oh my God, what am I going to have to listen to now for the next hour and a half from the Salt Lake City airport? I said, what did she put on? Doo-wop.
Oh, wow.
And I'm a promotion guy, right? I'm a street guy. That's what I've done my whole life, right? So my question is, well, how did you find that? Well, where, she goes, well, I was, on YouTube and I heard it. And then I decided I kind of liked it and I made a playlist with it. Point is that young people today, they're not programmed to. If they hear something they like it. And it doesn't matter if somebody else is playing it or not playing it. So I think that that's a real refreshing part to where we are today compared to where we were before.
I love that. It is one of the welcome developments. And I do love that young people are rediscovering older genres and older artists and giving them a new life, and platforms like TikTok are making that more possible. I think that's really, really cool. I'm going to ask you something now that I feel like if I ask it poorly, you're going to get offended. And so please don't take this in any manner other than the best of intentions.
You've got as many ex-wives as I have. You can't offend me.
I mean, after that comment I just made about my wife not being my favorite realtor, I might have my first ex-wife at this point. But I've been hosting this program for 10 years now. It's all about the new entertainment industry, and in a lot of ways the new music industry. And we don't get to interview a lot of guests who are still relevant in your industry and have been doing it for this long, because this new music industry weeds out a lot of the old industry people, a lot of the old radio promotion people, a lot of the old school label people, because they can't keep up with the new industry. So how have you been able to stay relevant as an older, more experienced person than some of the younger folks out there?
I'm really glad you asked that question, because that is really the key to all of this. Okay. This is, go back to the flower shop, right? We were raised, we worked, I was never afraid of working. And I have a personality where maybe it's worked really well for me over the years. And there's some things about it that haven't worked so well, like that drive to just keep going forward. Sometimes I didn't know just to slow down a little bit, but I had a couple of epiphanies along the way, and doing the radio promotion thing became a very horrible, nightmarish thing. I remember looking at myself in the mirror. I know exactly where I was at the time, And it was around 1999. And I just said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. This is not what I got into it for. I got into it because I loved music. I loved breaking records. I loved artists. I was a frustrated artist. That's what I wanted to be. And I said, well, I just can't do this anymore. And I decided to start my own label and get into the distribution business in about 2000. And I got on that swing tip that was going on, the squirrel nut zippers and all that phase.
Yeah.
And then I did a lot of hip hop stuff out of the Bay Area. I mean, I at one point was controlling a lot of the West Coast hip hop, and I had made great relationships. But I want to point one thing out that I think that has given me that ability to keep going and not surrender. First of all, you know, if you're a young artist or a young entrepreneur, you just don't give up. You got to keep going. You got to believe in yourself. You've got to take some risks. If you're afraid to take a risk, chances are you're not going to be able to make it. You're going to fail. Bet on it. We all do. But you know what? If you believe in yourself and you have enough tenacity and you keep going forward, that's when it going gets tough, the tough get going. How many times have we heard that phrase, right?
Yeah.
But the pivotal point was for me, and I don't share this often, but I'm really proud of it. And I got sober about 37 years ago. Had I not done that, I doubt we'd be sitting here having this conversation today. And it put a whole new perspective on everything. I had ups and downs. I had ups and downs when I started this company. I failed miserably for the first 3 years, but I had a vision. I knew I was getting my tush kicked on the street with the old model. The record companies holding money for 6 months and then 90 days on top of that, and then holding back reserves, and then, you know, charging you for manufacturing and pressing plants. And and I thought this is not going to work. And companies were doing the digital business. So I figured out that I had to get in the digital business. And what really got me here was I put about 100,000 on the street to break a Latin hip hop record. And it was a protege of Daddy Yankee, a kid named Miguelito. And I think we sold 2,000 CDs and about $100,000 in marketing. I said, okay, we're going to either reinvent ourselves one more time or take our toys and go home. And here we are, you know.
Excellent. I mean, you talk about this longevity of a career and seeing so many changes and formats.
Yeah.
What is now with all of this institutional knowledge that you have, what is the 2025 equivalent of a wheelbarrow full of Marvin Hamlish CDs?
Social media. It's social media. You know, I've got a record. I had a meeting with a guy today here in Mexico City, young guy, Andreas. He's got music coming out through us. And he's just primed himself perfectly. He's got a few million followers on YouTube, hundreds of thousands on TikTok and Instagram. And he's done it by doing covers. And he created a real base for himself. And now we're going to drop a couple of his covers to set this project up. And then we're going to put out one of his originals. But he's already got that base. He's already got that market that he's going to be able to go to in order to generate some success. The platform that we created, the vision that I had, and I want to be really clear. I've got a business partner here. I'm the founder of the company, or one of the founders. But I have a business partner that was able to put this vision and this dream of mine. And what I'm doing is nothing other than I did when I was a young promotion man. What do people need? And let's give that to them. If you're gonna open up a shoe store in a mall and there's already 10 shoe stores, probably not a good idea. You might want to think of another store, right? So what we did was we created something where we tried to put everything in one spot, where we could put you got your distribution, you got some social media marketing. We created merch which none of our competitors have. You selling one T-shirt is the equivalent of about 3,000 streams. So, you want to be able to capitalize on all of it. And you want to be able to, we give you the opportunity to really communicate with your fans, because that's really probably the secret sauce at the end of the day here. If you're an artist and you're lazy and you're not going to post and you're not going to communicate with your fans, chances are you won't be successful.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of platforms out there that have tried to put a lot of different things that an artist needs under one roof, like Intercept Music does. And I think the challenge that a lot of them run into is when you try to do a bunch of different things well, you wind up doing none of them well. But for the company that can figure out how to thread that needle and do multiple things well, all in one platform, that can create huge value for artists. What does Intercept Music do to try to make sure that all of the different things that you're putting under one roof are going to be effective for artists?
Well, one of the current things that we've started to develop, we're using it now, and we find it to be very valuable, is we're using AI. So, for instance, if you're an artist and you have 10,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and you have 10,000 followers on Instagram and 10,000 followers on TikTok, right? You need a campaign that's going to take you from here and put you up to here, not give you something that is right for Beyonce. We need to give you something that's right for you where you are right now. And it'll direct us on where you should put some advertising, what playlists you should be doing, and how you should be communicating with your audience. We've also created a platform. This is unlike anybody else has, where we have, you could post your socials with us. We could use AI to help you create socials. Then you could edit those and they could come out corny. You put the genre in there. You put, some of the words in the song, something to help you get at least a foundation of what you might post. You can edit those. And then you could go ahead and post like a month at a time, scheduling at different times. So we're trying to help you communicate with your fans, because that's the key today.
Love that. Our guest has been Ralph Tashjian. He is the founder of Intercept Music. You can find out more about our guest's work by visiting interceptmusic.com. Ralph, thank you so much for not only just telling us about your platform, but giving us this awesome history lesson into these older music industry days, what it was like, just hustling in radio promotion, back in the day. This is our first Carl Douglas Kung Fu fighting reference in Break the Business history, and we're thrilled for that. Definitely our first Marvin Hamlish reference. I've really enjoyed chatting with you, sir. Before we let you go, though, we got one last question for you.
Sure.
Do you have any last tips for the indie creators out there to help them move their careers forward?
Yes. Don't give up. It's really important for you to have a positive attitude. Don't get sucked up into any negativity, but keep one thing in mind. Paramount, most important, is the song. It all comes down to the song. And, if you've got to give it the best you've got, and you've got to listen around you on what's happening and think to yourself and being honest with yourself, is this competitive with what's going on out there in the world right now? And that's the best that you can do. Just don't give up. Keep going. Keep moving forward. Stay positive.
Thank you so much for that, sir. Our thanks to Ralph Tashjian. Thanks to Elisa Rockdock. Our thanks to Brianna Siski.
Good luck to you, Lisa. That was lovely hearing about you and the auditions. That's great. Really great. God bless. Thank you for the time. Very much appreciated.
And finally, our thanks to producer Lauren, and thanks to all of you for checking out Break the Business. We'll see you next week.
Peace.